Hello, everyone. Welcome to another adventure in real estate. And here we are. I know it's hard to imagine, but we are middle of the month, mid-July here. And so market update time. Market update. We're going to bring you just a snapshot of what went on last month, kind of recap the numbers and share with you the latest and greatest here on kind of what's happening in the real estate market. So first thing, guys, we got to talk about, and I think as we move forward here, we're going to continue to hear this conversation, but that is inventory. Inventory continues to grow, and that's a good thing, I think, from a real estate market perspective. We have been in historic lows for a long period of time. I mean, it seems like every month that moves along here, we're clicking off on what I would consider just sort of a new era, if you will, a new trend in that we have more inventory. And so that is a positive thing. So when we look at inventory numbers, guys, the greater Roanoke Valley, we just eclipsed a little over 1,600 units. And guys, it's going to vary a little bit from day to day when you pull the numbers, but residential homes were up over 1,600, and that's a new high watermark. We'd have to go back, years to get to that number. And so, again, it's a positive thing, but it is certainly, when we talk about what is going on in the market, to me, that's the first thing that needs to come up in this real estate market is inventory is climbing. It is moving up every day, every month. We are in a new era. We'll talk about sales here. We'll switch gears just a minute. And when we look at residential homes, steady is the best way I can describe it. We talked about this last month, I think the month before, but numbers are coming in very similar to where we were a year ago when you look at the residential home market. So I'll show the numbers here. It's not a lot to really get all excited about other than the market is steady. And so what that tells me, inventory growing, market is steady, is we've got a good real estate market. Whether you're buying or selling, we've got a good market. We've got good demand. We've got good inventory here coming along. And I think as a buyer, the more options you have, the better off you are. So when you look there, 522 is where we were for the month of June in 2026. Compare that to 509 a year ago. Again, not a lot of difference. Still not to the market is still not to the pace that it was 5 years ago. We're talking about height of COVID and just kind of the way the market was just rolling fast and furious at that time. So we're not quite to that market or that mark for sure, but still a very good real estate market when we talk about demand and homes sold. I'm going to break things down. Again, a very similar discussion when you look at things in Franklin County. When you look at things in Martinsville, Patrick, Henry County, those areas, it's just steady from where we were a year ago. Get even further down into the residential market at Smith Mountain Lake. Again, it's steady. It doesn't have the pace quite of what we would have seen 5 years ago, but still very steady from that standpoint. The other thing we talk about is days on market. I think when you compare days on market, these homes that sold in June, those 522, we were at 46. Those on the average, those homes were at 46 days on market is where they were at. If you were to look at where that was a year ago, it's 37. So we're not as fast as we were a year ago. But if you look at where we were in June of 26 to May of 26, it's very similar. Actually, click down a few days as far as we weren't, the homes on the market that sold in June weren't on the market quite as long as the ones in May, but still very similar. We've got good buyer demand. We're not selling homes, every 2-3 days like maybe what we've seen in the height of COVID, but still a very good market. There's still very good demand out there. To switch gears to you and talk a little bit about land. Land, again, I think has been, when you think about strength in this real estate market, there is a good demand for good buyer demand for land. And so when you look at what happened here in June of 2026, we had 63 land parcels move along. You compare that to where we were a year ago, That's about 20 more. So again, I think this land market is there. There's interest. There's a good demand. So if you've got property to sell, raw land that you'd like to take put on the market, I think it's a great time to do that. Land values continue to move up, and that's a very positive thing when we think about this real estate market. Again, compared to 5 years ago, the pace of the market is not there, but it's still very, very good, and certainly good when you compare it to where we were a year ago. Similar discussion there when you look at what's going on in Franklin County. You look at what the residential market is, or not the resident, but the actual just waterfront properties that have sold in Smith Mountain Lake. You can see that it is steady, slight tick up from where we were a year ago on those waterfront properties, but still very, very good when we talk about demand and interest and overall price. So I think if you're interested in selling property, residential land, it's a great time to get that property out there on the market and find a great value for it. So we've talked about what sales have been. We've talked about inventory. We've talked about days on market. Last thing to talk about is interest rates, guys. Interest rates are steady, 6.5, give or take, depending on the week, depending on who you talk to. Again, your credit score, your personal information is going to play heavy into whether you're on the upper side of 6.5 or the lower side of 6.5. So just keep that in mind and reach out here to Kingery Team at kingeryteam.com. Here at Mountain to Lake Realty, we'd be glad to visit with you. If you're interested in buying, selling property, if you've got questions, holler at us and we'll talk to you. We'll be glad to walk you through whatever questions you may have. So that's going to wrap it up for this market update and adventures in real estate. We'll look forward to seeing you next time here. But until then, take care.